And this month, our focus is on caring for others, compassion. And here in Las Cruces, I think it has become pretty evident to us that there are people suffering in the world in ways that we can't even imagine. And hundreds, if not thousands of them have been finding their way through Las Cruces on their way to their new unknown future. Likewise, within this congregation, within our very own community, we have people who are caring for people at home, whether they're family members or friends. They're in that position of taking care of someone or helping their life to be a little bit better. And as a spiritual community, we hold as our vision a world in loving partnership for the good of all. And so, as we think about that, what is the role of compassion in any of those situations? What is the role of compassion? What is our role in regard to bringing compassion? And how is compassion different from love? And how might it be related to love? Well, the word compassion has at its root compati, which means to suffer with. So the reading might have seemed a little strange, but it all makes sense once you get through the entire talk today. Because the idea of compassion has to do with having concern for the sufferings and misfortunes of others. It also means when you are confronted with another's suffering, you are motivated to relieve it in some way. So from what I could understand, compassion takes empathy up a notch. In empathy, we seek to understand what another person is going through. With compassion, we seek to relieve whatever suffering we might perceive them as having or they might perceive themselves as having. So compassion has connected with it this desire to help in some way. Now, what I also know is that for many of us, that definition of what it means to help could be very different. Some of us might see helping as one thing, and others see it as another thing. And so no matter what, as long as we're moving out of compassion, and I believe that that compassion is rooted in love, then we have a role to play. There's a role that we can step into. So I want us to look into that a bit today. First of all, when I went into the concordance of the Science of Mind text, I looked up all the different times that Ernest Holmes used the word compassion. And I thought it was interesting that each time he used it, he was describing the behaviors of Jesus toward other people. And so as I looked at that, something's going on. Sorry. I don't know. Is he okay? Is he okay? Yeah, he might be having a seizure, so let's just send him our energy. Yeah, just send him our energy. He gets through them, he's lived with them, so we just know he's in divine order and he's okay. Thank you, Randy. Compassion. Yeah, he's okay. So, again, it's our behaviors toward others that come out of that place of love. And so we talk about God as being love, and that's that big picture, the big picture. But what I started to see from the way Ernest Holmes used the word compassion is that compassion is how that love moves through the human out into the world, how it moved through Jesus and how it can move through us. That humanity is what brings compassion into the world. And so I decided, since it was the month of Mother's Day, and that I also thought we could bring an icon of compassion that was a little more contemporary to us into today's talk, I wanted to look at what Mother Teresa had to say about compassion. She exemplified compassion in her actions, but she also taught about it. And this is some of the things that she had to say. In the end, the question we need to ask is not how many good things have you done, but rather how much love did you put into what you did. She also said, it is not the magnitude of our actions, but the amount of love we put into them that matters. And that really spoke to me because I think most of my life I've looked at these great icons that we see out there, and I thought, if I'm not doing what they're doing, I'm falling short. But what she's saying here is it's not the magnitude of what we do, but it's how much love we put into it that matters. And she said, do ordinary things with extraordinary love. Ordinary things with extraordinary love. So no matter what it is that we feel called to do in terms of how we want to bring compassion into the world, I believe it's important that it's grounded in and is that love that flows through us. And it's the love then that helps to alleviate the suffering. Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind text, and if you want the page, it's 368, said, to know God is to love. For without love, there is no knowledge of God. As the Christ awakens the divine spark in us, it is able to warm other souls by the radiance of its own self-unfoldment. We give only what we have. And so as I thought about that, I started thinking, well, if we need to have love in order to give compassion, and if we can only give what we have, how do we get that in our lives? How do we fill up, so to speak, so we have enough of it that we can take it out into an action of compassion? Well, I've noticed in postings, both on Facebook and just on the internet in general, that people's response to any of these events that we've seen over the last several years, from fires to floods to shootings, people's first response is usually, I'm holding you in my thoughts and prayers, or we're sending our thoughts and prayers and our love to that situation. We're keeping them in our thoughts and prayers. And I've noticed that more recently, sometimes people are responding somewhat angrily. Enough of the thoughts and prayers, we need action. And my thought has been, why one or the other? I think we need both. I think we need both. And so I looked again at Mother Teresa. I love a lot of the things she said. She says, do not think that love, in order to be genuine, has to be extraordinary. What we need is to love without getting tired. And I think what's starting to happen is we see this continual stream of events as we're getting tired. So how do we maintain a level of love that can move us into compassion, whatever way that feels right to us, without getting tired? How do we allow our love to move into action without reaching that place of being tired? Well, when I was at the Holmes Institute, we all had to write our own code of ethics that we were going to follow. And the last thing I put on mine was that I would commit to taking everything into prayer first. And I will admit to you all, I'm still working on that. My first response is to want to jump into action. And yet, most of you probably know that when I'm talking about prayer, I'm talking about a science of mind treatment. And what we always say is treat and move your feet. We don't say move your feet and treat. We say go into prayer first, go into treatment first, and then from there, see how you're inspired to move your feet, how to move into that action. And so that is one of those things that I'm still working on. That is something that I've committed to, and I appreciate all the reminders from the beautiful practitioners in this room and others who take me back into prayer first. And from there, I get to determine what the action is. So as we seek to alleviate suffering in the world, recognizing, as the reading said, that suffering is not an entity in and of itself. It's something that humans have created. It's a mindset, and it's things that we've imposed out in the world. So whatever the cause, and wherever you might perceive it, whether it's in your own life or in the life of someone else, we remember what Ernest Holmes taught, and that is, first of all, that there's nothing to heal, only something to be revealed. Something to be revealed. So how do we reveal this truth? How do we reveal the love in us so that it can come forward and do whatever it needs to do as we're moving on this path with that idea of seeing a world without suffering? So my question is to myself and to you, what do you do to fill up with love? When you see something that stirs in you a desire for compassion, how do you fill yourself up with enough love to address that situation? How do you move yourself from just the words of love into the feeling and that sense of compassion, moving from that place of feeling? Well, I've shared with you my practice that I've enjoyed doing here over the last year, what I call my I love practice. And I am not doing it every day anymore, but what I do is if I feel myself getting cranky, if I'm starting to criticize in my mind, I sit myself down and I start my I love practice. And I always start, I love myself. I love those in my immediate vicinity, usually my dogs, my partner. I love my family. And then I move out into this community, and I love everyone on the board, and I list them, all the practitioners, I list them, the staff, I list them, and every person that I greet who walks through those doors by name, I'm listing them, I love, I love, I love. And by the time I'm done with that, I start to feel that love. Even if I've pulled in a name that might be challenging to me. I keep moving because that's how I've found I can fill myself up with love. How do you fill yourself with love? Another thing you can do is taking that idea into contemplation through meditation. Ernest Holmes has a thing or two to say about love. And if you go to page 412, he says, if we believe in suffering, we shall suffer. Life responds to us in the way we approach it. We should choose that which we wish to embody, and by constant attention to it, take on all of its characteristics. Let us choose to be identified with power, with love and beauty, with peace and happiness. Let us identify ourselves with abundance and with success. So think about that. We choose to embody and pay attention to and take on all of those characteristics that we want to have and that we want to take out into the world. So how do you identify with love? Well, the first thing that we do that I've been talking about here is taking it into prayer. And one of the things we've started to see is that it helps us to have a purpose when we want to go into a spiritual mind treatment. And so in this situation, our purpose then is to see the world free from suffering. That's a big one. If there's a specific where you're perceiving suffering, we want to see that situation free from suffering. Again, whether it's in your life or the life of another. Our other purpose is to fill ourselves up, to feel that love enough to move out into the world in compassion. And our purpose is to also be open to direction. What does that look like? What actions need to come with my love as I take compassion out into the world? So in a spiritual mind treatment, the first step is the purpose. The second step, the first step of the actual treatment is, I heard it somewhere. Yay, practitioners, recognition. We're recognizing what God is. And in this situation, and what applies to what we're looking at here, God is love. It's that big picture. God is love. And so one of the things I wanted to point out is that when you hear the practitioners doing a treatment up here, when we're doing an invocation, it seems like it just flows, right? It just boom, 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 boom. They say everything they need to say. Even after the service, when you have a treatment with them, they're going to listen to you and they're going to do a treatment that's pretty quick. They're going to move through all those steps. But the other thing that a treatment is good for is not just those moments when we need to move through it quickly, but it's also a tool every single one of you can use to work your way through a process to where you get the guidance that you need. So what I'm encouraging you to do this month is take some time in contemplation with step one. God is love. That's a quick and simple sentence, but what does that mean? Where do you see evidence of God as love? What does that look like? What other qualities of God support that? As you think about the big picture of God, the universe, spirit, all those words that we use, take some time to contemplate that. Second step is unification. So again, that is, if God is love, I am love. I'm unifying with that. What does that look like? How does that feel? This is where you take the time to really unify with what you've just said God is. Recognizing that that's how God is going to move through you out into the world in those actions. So take the time then to contemplate, I am love. How does that feel? As I am love, what goes on in me? How do I have evidence of that in the world? Sometimes they talk about it as making an argument. Make the argument for God is love and I am love so strong that there's nothing that is in opposition to that. You spend the time with step 1 and step 2 until you fully feel the wholeness, the presence of God, love in you. You've unified completely with it. Mother Teresa then says that the fruit of love is service, which is compassion in action. And so once we've filled up, once we have connected completely, 100%, we feel that love in us, we can move into step 3. We're still taking it into treatment at this point. And step 3 is realization, yes. And at that point, we're seeing how it is that this truth that we've just fully aligned with, God is love, I am love, how does it look out in our world? We could say things like, as one who is one with God, or as one who is one with love, love expresses through me in this situation, whatever it is, by, and you fill in the blank. See what comes through. You're in a meditative state. You're contemplating this. As one with love, in this situation, love expresses through me in this situation by what? How? What do we see happening? I express the love that I am as I. And we fill in that blank. We let Spirit guide. We open our hearts at this point. We open them wide to see how that love wants to move out into the world. We open our hearts to surprises that might pop into our mind that we might never have thought about. We're looking to open our heart to see what needs to be revealed. What is going to be revealed through us as love moving through the world? And again, take some time in this step. I'm a writer, so for me, I'm writing a lot of the time when I'm doing this, but you can sit there in contemplation, you can write it, you can just meditate on it, whatever works for you as you open your heart to getting that guidance in which direction you're ready to move in. Well, I'm sure for some of you it might not come as a surprise. Florence Nightingale was my heroine when I was little, and of course I was exposed to just a very short story about who she was, but there was something about her that really intrigued me. And so I thought as I was putting this together, her, I think of Mother Teresa, then Florence Nightingale comes into my mind, and I looked her up. And I was surprised at what I found. So if you don't know a lot about her, look her up. It's very interesting. But what I did know is that she had helped with the nursing and brought nursing as a profession into the world in a whole different way than what it had been prior to what the work was that she did. But what I didn't know is that she was a very spiritual and mystical person, and that she actually wrote about spiritual things and mystical things. And so that was new to me, and I'm going to have to research that more. But one of the things she said is we must make heaven before we can go to heaven, as the phrase says, in this world as in any other. We must make heaven before we can go to heaven. And I thought that was a neat way of putting a lot of what we talk about. We say as above, so below. We talk about the fact that heaven and or hell are states of consciousness. That was part of our reading this morning. We create that heaven, and we create it right here and right now. And in my mind, in this realization step in a treatment process, heaven is a place where there's no suffering. We're creating that heaven on earth as we're seeking to relieve suffering. however that might look to us. And so again, I encourage you to take some time with these steps and with these thoughts and ideas throughout this month as we're seeking to better understand how it is that we bring compassion into the world and what that looks like. And so one of the things that I find interesting about doing treatment work is that you and I can sit down and treat about the same issue and come up with different results as to what we are inspired or directed to do. And I believe that that doesn't mean, well, I'm right and you're wrong. What that means is that there's many ways to resolve any issue or any situation. As you sit down in treatment, what comes to you as the way to help, as the way to bring compassion or love into a situation might be A, and I might be drawn to do B. And either one of them, both of them, I believe as long as they're rooted in love, they are going to bring about healing. They're going to help to alleviate suffering. And so each one of us seeks to find what it is that Spirit wants to do through us. What is ours to do? Mother Teresa also said, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. So we're not about judging what this person over here decides they need to do or what this one. We are not about judging what's going on in the situation. Whether, oh, how did they get themselves there? What were they thinking? None of that. We're there to love. We're there to bring that love through us as we feel divinely guided. Love then becomes the purpose. Love is the healing power. Love is God expressing through us. And as Holmes says, as we align ourselves with that, with those God qualities, with what God is, through a science of mind treatment, which are the steps that allow us or teach us or support us in doing that, it is the love then that's revealed and the suffering that's healed. So I have another quote from Mother Teresa that I think some of you might relate to. She said, "I know God won't give me anything I can't handle. I just wish he didn't trust me so much." And I thought about that, and I think we can relate to that. We were like, okay, yeah. At the same time, I wanted to look at that through the eyes of New Thought, through the eyes of what we teach. And so we know there's not a God out there saying, this person's going to suffer, and your job is to go over there and take care of it, and you got to do this and this. There's not a God out there doling out jobs for us, or doling out suffering or lack of suffering, whatever it might be. We're looking at that God in us, that moves through us. So what I realized is that if I have situations that I see need my compassion brought to them, there must be some way in my consciousness that I trust myself enough to handle that situation. Think about that.
Could you say that again?
Yeah. Instead of seeing it as a God out there who trusts me enough to do this and is piling it on, if God is in me and I'm looking out at the world and I see places that need me to take light or love or compassion into them, somewhere in me, I must trust myself enough to handle that situation. Yeah, think about that. We know somewhere deep down we've got this. We can handle this. I can handle this. I have the tools. We have the tools. We have love. We have the tool of treatment. We go into treatment. We go into science, the spiritual mind treatment, and we fill up. We unify with and identify with love in this situation. We are divinely guided, and we realize what direction we are wanting to move. God, through us, is moving to express that compassion. And so then we have what it is that we need to take action. So in 2 more weeks, you get to hear from me again. And we're going to be looking at how we take this compassion into action. I wanted us to really look at how we treat first before we move our feet. So spend some time in the next couple weeks just contemplating how this works, how these tools can work in your life. Ernest Holmes says, daily we must affirm the divine presence within us. That's the unification. Then, as the mist disappears before the sun, so shall adversity melt before the shining radiance of our exalted thought. So, as we do that work, we're doing what it takes to then relieve this universe, our life, of what's going on that we perceive as suffering. So as I was putting this together, my guidance led me to the Buddhist metta prayer as a way to further open our hearts. And I've given you all a yellow sheet. And on one side it says Buddhist metta prayer, and on the other it is with religious science revision. So one of the things that we teach is that we state everything in the present tense and in the affirmative. So what I am going to suggest, and you can either read with me or you can close your eyes and take it in, but I suggest you take this home and determine a way that you can weave this into your day, either side or both sides. I'm going to take us through both sides. First the original, and then how I've transformed it. So practitioners, if you would hold the consciousness for us, but keep the thing rolling because this is part of the talk. We're going to just take a moment to go within and listen to these words and notice that this prayer starts with a self and moves out. My heart fills with loving kindness. I love myself. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be peaceful. May I be free. May all beings in my vicinity be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May all beings in my city be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May all beings in my state be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May all beings in my country be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May all beings on my continent be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May all beings in my hemisphere be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May all beings on planet Earth be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May my parents be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May all my friends be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May all my enemies be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May all beings in the universe be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. If I have hurt anyone knowingly or unknowingly in thought, word, or deed, I ask for their forgiveness. If anyone has hurt me, knowingly or unknowingly, in thought, word, or deed, I extend my forgiveness. May all beings everywhere, whether near or far, whether known to me or unknown, be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. And now this is with a religious science revision. My heart fills with loving kindness. I love myself. I am happy. I am well. I am peaceful. I am free. All beings in my vicinity are happy. They are well. They are peaceful. They are free. All beings in my city are happy. They are well. They are peaceful. they are free. All beings in my state are happy. They are well, they are peaceful, they are free. All beings in my country are happy. They are well, they are peaceful, they are free. All beings on my continent are happy. They are well, they are peaceful, they are free. All beings in my hemisphere are happy. They are well, they are peaceful, they are free. All beings on planet Earth are happy. They are well, they are peaceful, they are free. My parents are happy. They are well, they are peaceful, they are free. All my friends are happy. They are well, they are peaceful, they are free. All my enemies are happy. They are well, they are peaceful, they are free. All beings in the universe are happy. They are well, they are peaceful, they are free. If I have hurt anyone knowingly or unknowingly in thought, word, or deed, I ask for their forgiveness. If anyone has hurt me knowingly or unknowingly in thought, word, or deed, I extend my forgiveness. All beings everywhere, whether near or far, whether known to me or unknown, are happy. They are well, they are peaceful, they are free. And so it is.